Now I'm bringing back some of my southern roots with this dish. This is my blackened shrimp and lobster grits. And I've got my grits going here. Now look at this. Grits, I grew up with them. Right in the South, I love them. And they're really nice and creamy. You can see. Look at that. Oh, look at that. That is so incredible. And lots of chefs are starting to use these all across the country. They've become really popular. They're adding all kinds of ingredients. Bacon, cheeses, things like that. Now I'm going to throw in some lobster today. First, I'm going to add in a little bit of butter, make it really nice and creamy. So I got a little bit of butter there. Turn my heat up some. Not too much. You don't want to scorch them because, you know, if you've worked with polenta, you know, those types of things, very similar to grits. So, you know, you want to be really careful, especially at this stage when they're cooked. You know, you want to be, you got the milk in there. They're really nice and creamy. You want to be careful not to scorch them. So I'm going to add in a little bit of butter there. And just keep stirring. This is not a time to walk away and answer emails or get on Facebook or something like that. This is a time to really pay attention to your grits because they're ready to go. You're just adding the final touches to it. So what I've got is some butter in there. I'm going to add some cheese. I've got a little bit of good cheese that's going in that's been shredded. This could be any cheese. You know, for me, I've got in a little bit of cheddar in here. Going to add in a little bit of Monterey Jack going in here. So just stir it in there. This could be any cheese you want, anything that you really think is nice and delicious that you want to add in. It could be your favorite cheese or whatever you have on hand that you need to use up. I'm all about that. It's like really cooking from the hip like I do in Iron Chef and like I do as a mom is really what you have on hand that you need to use up because we've always got cheeses that I need to shred and just kind of throw into something. So look at that, nice and creamy. You can just see how the cheese is also just, you know, it's ooey and gooey, and look at that. You can see the cheese kind of melting in there. Now comes the beautiful part of this. Look at this beautiful red lobster. Oh, nice and pink in parts, nice and red in parts, nice chunky parts of that, nice bite size. That's how I've cut it. So I've cleaned this lobster up and just taken these really beautiful parts of it. It's cooked perfectly. You can see it's still nice, you know, to the touch. Okay, you can tell it's not hard, it's not rubbery, it's real, you know, still cooked perfectly. You can see how moist the meat is. I'm going to add that right in. I'm adding it right at the final touches of these grits because I don't want them to overcook. I don't want the lobster to overcook in there. I want it to stay nice and juicy. Okay, so just the final touches of this. I'm just going to stir that right in. Ah, love that. You can see the cheese is definitely melting. Look at that. Okay, now I'm going to cut my fire off, remember, because it's nice and warm, it'll stay warm. I'm going to take that out of there, the spoon, put the top on so it stays warm, and there we go. Now, to the blackened shrimp. My fire is up high. I'm going to add some oil in there. I'm using a cast iron skillet. Now, if you have a saute pan, that's fine too. Cast iron, I love, especially when I'm blackening something. And I'm using some blackening spices. So I'm blackening the shrimp here. Again, I've already cooked it. I've already blanched it off, you know, for a few minutes, 5 minutes of it, you know, again, boiling water, salted water, blanched it, got the tails off, cleaned up, deveined. I'm going to throw it right in that skillet. Okay? Get them nice and sauteed. Oh yeah, hot, cast iron, good olive oil in there. Let those go on high heat. And again, I'm using my good extra virgin olive oil. Get them nice and juiced up there. Oh yeah, and I'm using olive oil. A lot of times when people blacken, they use butter. But I want to do, again, I'm going healthier. Because you know, you've already got a lot of richness here with the lobster grit. So a lot of butter, and you know, put the butter and the cheese in there. So we're going to balance out the healthiness with using olive oil on the blackened shrimp. Okay? Oh yeah, look at that. And these cook quick, really quick. You know, you got a cast iron skillet that's super hot. These are going to cook quick, so I'm going to turn them over once, and then I'm going to start adding my blackening spices in there. Just enough to coat. Just enough to coat. Look at that. Whew. Smells good. Now I'm bringing a little bit of the Cajun influence. Little New Orleans in here with this. This is more of a New Orleans influence, Louisiana influence with the spices, the blackening here. Because I spent a lot of time in New Orleans, Louisiana, and down in that area. So I have a big love for that as well. And there's nothing better than some blackened shrimp on grits. All right. And those are done. I mean, that was literally like 60 seconds, okay? Moving down to my final bowl where I'm going to plate this. I'm going to take my spoon with my grits. Oh, here we go. Look at that. And this is fantastic for, I mean, this is the perfect, I think, the perfect brunch dish. You want to have a nice brunch with some friends over or just for the family. It also is a great, I mean, you could do this for a late breakfast. You could do this for a fantastic early dinner. I mean, it really can serve any purpose at any time for any meal. Ah, lovely. Get some of those lobster pieces on top there. Perfect. Okay. Now I'm not going to try to pick up this cast iron skillet. I'm just going to kind of stick some of these on top. Oh, look at that. Put a nice odd number. Chefs like odd numbers. We're kind of superstitious that way. So it's either 3, 5, 7. You know, you get the picture. So what do I have here? I'm going to, oh well, these are small. We can add, you know, add another one on top there. There we go. Beautiful. Now I'm going to start making my, put on some greens here, a little asparagus, those beautiful asparagus tips here. So add this on. Oh, it's lovely. Asparagus is in season in the spring. So lovely little spring salad here. Little scallions. You got to have a little scallions on your grits. I mean, it's a southern dish. I don't think we do hardly anything without some green onion on it. And then add a little few microgreens, and that's just so, it's a little petite asparagus salad. Little petite salad there. Oh, look at that. And there you have it. My blackened shrimp with lobster grits.